Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and today I gotta talk to you guys about Elemental Charge Blade. Now look, I understand that I've been spending a lot of time playing around with Gunlance because I've been trying to do every build under the sun for Gunlance. I just released that particular video yesterday, and so today I was like, okay, release the Gunlance video. There's some more things that I need to do with Gunlance, but it's time to start looking forward. We also already did our Switch X guide, and so the next thing in line, I figured, it's time for us to take a look at the Charge Blade, see how that is doing. So the first thing that I decided to myself is like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do a very basic raw build, with impact files, see which one's like what I think is gonna deal like the most damage per file and whatnot, and just try to work out a build around that, something that'll be fun and basic and can be used against pretty much anything, because usually that's the easier way of going about it so that I can start practicing the weapon and whatnot. But then I was like, yeah, but I've been seeing Sarah tweet a whole bunch about crazy elemental damage, so let's see, which one is the one Charge Blade that I can go ahead and craft that's fairly easy, because it's got materials for stuff that I haven't really used yet. Let's take a look at one of those, and I'll just craft one Elemental Charge Blade and do one Elemental Charge Blade build, because you guys know, every single guide that I do always starts with the build. I need to have a build, I need to test it out, I need to figure out what are good mixed set skills for me to use to get started, so that then I can talk about those at the end of the guide and all of that stuff, and also for me to practice with the weapon naturally. So I made the Rurikhan, which is the Charge Blade from Aurora Somnicanth. I made that one. Now that one's got 71 elemental damage, and I was like, okay, let's do something basic. Let's get like some chain crit in here. Let's get like 1 point of bloodlust, 1 point of coalescence, because that's going to give us a little bit more elemental on top of the chain crit and on top of the max elemental damage that we can get. And there's probably a couple of skills that I'm missing. It's like, I really don't want to use Dereliction, because I find that the health drain from Dereliction is very annoying, and I know that you can use the fish and you can use other regenerative things to kind of like counteract it, but I'm still not a huge fan of how Dereliction works. I kind of feel like you get locked into a certain playstyle, and I want to be able to be flexible, even though, you're also losing health with Bloodlust and Coalescence, but I can kind of live without those in an elemental build, to be honest. I'm still not sure if that's going to be featured in my elemental build. I'm talking about that because you're probably going to be seeing like the effect of Bloodlust and Coalescence in the build that we have right here. But anyway, so I'm just like, okay, so what's a good weak to ice monster for me to test this out? And obviously that's Diablos. So I go up against the Diablos, and I just go ahead and I UED, because now it's no longer SAED, because it used to be Super Amped Elemental Discharge. Now it's Ultra Elemental Discharge. And then I hit some part of that Diablos for 400 damage on one file. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, now wait a minute, what in the hell is going on here? What the hell has happened to Elemental Charge Blade? Because, like, sure, I can understand it being powerful and whatnot, but 400 damage out of one file on a UED? Holy crap, dude, it must be one hell of a good day to be a Charge Blade main, dude. Oh my god. Like, that makes me incredibly happy, because those of you, like, if you guys go back, if you go back long enough in this channel, you will see that I was making Elemental Charge Blade builds all the way back in Monster Hunter World. All the way back in Monster Hunter World, with Critical Element, which didn't even affect files, but my dumbass didn't know that at the time, right? So I've been wanting more weapons to be able to do the elemental playstyle, so I cannot emphasize how happy that made me. So then I was like, okay, so let's test this out in monsters that potentially don't have like the best hit zone. So I go against the Puke, but in this video you're gonna see me go against like a Basilgoose, okay? Now the Puke did not have the best hit zones, but I think it had like 15 on some of the hit zones that I was hitting. And on those 15 hit zones, I kid you not, the Ice Elemental Charge Blade was still out damaging my like full raw impact file build. Now I was like, what? Now in the case of the Basilgoose, it's not out damaging. I'm pretty sure that I can deal more damage in the Basilgoose, because Basilgoose's elemental hit zone for ice is a 10 on average in most places except his back. On his back it's even less. So it's like, Basilgoose definitely not a good target for an ice elemental charge blade. But that was part of my test. I'm like, okay, so let's see how it performs on a bad target and how it performs on a good target. And even on a bad target, it's really friggin' good. Like, it's not as good as the Impact, obviously, you know. But the thing is, if I was to bring, like, a Thunder, like the Narwa Charge Blade, dude, if I was to bring that and then potentially work aside, because I've been thinking about the potential, right? Now, like, my brain is firing off on all kinds of directions. I'm thinking, like, should I go chain crit or should I actually just make the Narwa set? You know what I'm saying? Like, just make Narwa's set, right? And then use, because Narwa's set, for those of you who don't know, if you have like 5 pieces or whatever, you get Storm Soul, and Storm Soul gives you 15% additional lightning damage. So if you put like a Charge Blade with max lightning damage, then you put Storm Soul on top of it, and on top of it, the Charge Blade itself already has like, I don't know, I think it's 75 lightning damage or something like that for Narwa. Like, you would probably decimate this Basilgoose, all right? You would send it into another dimension, all right? You know what I'm saying? And that is, like, I'm sorry. I just had to make this video because I just became so excited about the prospects of Elemental Charge Blade that it blew my mind. Like, the numbers that this thing is producing are wild. Like, you know that when I started playing Sunbreak, right? I started doing bullet barrages and I was like, oh man, this is so powerful. This is totally gonna get nerfed. Like, right now, I am so sure that bullet barrages never get nerfed. Like, you can't nerf if you're gonna nerf bullet barrage, you're gonna have to nerf greatsword damage. You're gonna have to nerf charge blade damage. Because, like, greatsword and charge blade are producing insanity numbers. And it's here's the thing, it's not even just the UED, right? Because you guys might be thinking, oh well, it's just UED, whatever. Some targets is gonna be hard to hit the UED. No, because here's another thing, because I've been experimenting with this. I didn't do a lot of experimentation with Charge Blade yet, right? But I've been experimenting now with the file follow-up, right? Because remember when we talked about the file follow-up and the firing pin, the file firing pin, and we were all memeing on firing pin. We were wondering, like, why would we want to delay the damage? Like, what's the point of all this? But the thing is, with the new skill that you get with the Charge Blade, which replaces something that I did not like, and here's the thing, I understand there's a lot of really good tech behind that move, which is like the morphing advance or whatever the hell. I never liked that skill. I understand there's a lot of really good tech for that move, but I'm not a particularly technical player when it comes to Charge Blade, okay? I like my Unga Bungas, I Unga Bunga, and whether that Unga Bunga is with Chainsaw or whether it is with UED, that's the way that I like to play Charge Blade. I Unga Bunga the stuff, right? So having a super tech move like Morphing Advanced or Advanced Morph slash whatever the crap that thing's called, I was never a huge fan of it. But the air dash, or whatever they call that one, that's amazing, because I was always wondering to myself, how the hell am I going to be swapping to axe? That's going to be such a hassle, having to swap to axe to then detonate the things and having to position myself, because when you're with axe, you're moving slower. But with air dash, your character literally just like yeets himself towards the monster and spins the axe twice. And that can detonate all the firing pins. And here's the kicker, firing pin from my preliminary testing, maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, Charge Blade mains, correct me, but firing pin deals more damage than file follow-up. So if you're doing basic file follow-up, although I kind of feel like if you're doing chainsaw mode, you probably want to do file follow-up, because otherwise I think that if you do firing pin, it doesn't actually apply the files. Not 100% sure. Haven't tested it thoroughly. I'm still like in the beginning stages of testing out Charge Blade, right? But, bro, the air dash not only detonates all of those. I mean, you can also detonate them, obviously, using a UED. You can detonate with, which I knew. But I was like, okay, but besides UED, how else can I detonate it? And you go in with air dash, and then here is the kicker, bro. Like, air dash with friggin' elemental charge blade. And you do air dash, and at the end, you do a file discharge, because at the end of air dash, you can press circle and it does a file discharge, circle or the right faceplate button, depending on your controller, whatever, right? But you do that, and then at the end of it, you do a file discharge, and it was slapping Diablos around for 500 damage at the cost of one file. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, bro, what the hell is going on? And the cool thing is you don't even need crit boost in this build, right? Because files don't crit. So you can just like stack up as much like elemental damage as you possibly can, and then the rest of it can be comfort skills, and you're still dishing out redonkulous amounts of damage. Like, I just wanted to put out this video to let you guys know, in case you guys are still waiting to try out the Charge Blade for some reason. Like, let me tell you, dude, if you're just playing Impact Files because you're used to playing Impact Files because Elemental Charge Blade, let's just be completely honest, right? Because I played the PC save file of Monster Hunter Rise with Elemental Charge Blade. You guys can go and you can check that footage on the channel. I was making a Charge Blade for each of the elements up until I got to the water element because there was nothing there. I'm not even exaggerating. The only one that was there was like Juratotus, and it was garbage. I was about to curse in the video, and I'm trying to not be a potty mouth, all right? It was complete garbage, but garbage is not even a real good definition. I'd have to actually cuss to explain to you guys how bad that Charge Blade was, right? So the idea would be you have to go and you have to make a Rampage one and then mix it. And I was like, that was the time where I was like, how about let's make a Rajang Charge Blade? How about that? It's got a lot of raw. It's got impact files. Hits real hard. And that's the route that I ended up going. Like, I literally gave up on Elemental Charge Blade because it was that bad. Like, it was fun to play, sure, but the damage was terrible. You just pick up a Rajang Charge Blade and you're done. And you don't even have to worry about, you know, doing different elements. They definitely fixed that in Sunbreak. Now, if they nerf it, I'm going to be really upset because this is the way that elemental damage needs to be done. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, they need to up the elemental damage on gun lances because that's what I want for gun lance as well. I want to be able to do poke shell poke with tons of elemental damage. Like, I thought my elemental damage gun lance builds were powerful, and then I played Charge Blade, and now I'm like, hey, Capcom, can I have some more elemental damage on my gun lance, please? Or actually, you know what? You guys remember how people were always telling me, hey, Rurikhan, would you like elemental shelling? And I would remember about how elemental files would work for Charge Blade, and I'd go like, no, not really, because the elemental files on Charge Blade are usually pretty disappointing unless the hit zone's friggin' fantastic. Dude, if elemental shelling can work like elemental files, bruh, sign me up. Sign me up for that right now. Give me those elemental shells, dude. I would be the happiest gun lancer in the world. You give me those elemental shells on wide shelling with high elemental damage, I will be one happy gun lancer shelling according to element because that's my style. I've always wanted to play towards the elements and stuff. And it makes me wonder, like, probably Switch Axe Elemental's also doing friggin' fantastic, I would imagine. That means that I'm going to have a lot of weapons to craft on weapons that I care about a lot. That means that probably I need to do Elemental Sword and Shield as well. Holy crap, dude. I am just like over the moon. And I want to know how you guys feel about all this. Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, this was really, really cool. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit it up with a like. If you did not enjoy the video, dislike. Feedback is important and all that. If you guys want more Sunbreak content, do remember, hit the subscribe button, bell notification icon, all of that stuff, because it helps me out a lot. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.